Hello and welcome to John's Author Diary for the week ending December the 23rd, 2018. This week has been a bit of a mixed bag. I felt like I've been a bit all over the place with different projects, but I've just been trying to tie up things before I go on to my Christmas break, which technically I'm now on. So on Monday I launched The Emperor, which is a fifth book in my Ravenglass Chronicles series, and I've outlined book 7, which is called The Lovers. And what I've done is I've also gone back to my original outline for the series, because I've seen how things have shifted. So I've got the key events now until book 11, and then the story should be back on track. If it does diverge from the outline, that's not too much of a problem. As long as all roads lead back to the last book, then things are going to be okay. So I don't know whether this is against my better judgment or not, but I've been mulling over the idea of re-editing and relaunching my Wasteland series books. And I think one of the things I've mentioned before is that I have now come to regret writing the series in a bit of a strange style. This will probably be okay for a literary genre, but not for post-apocalyptic. And I think it has been a bit of a resistance point for some readers. So the way it's written is what's known as objective third-person present tense. It's literally like there's a camera on my main character's shoulder. We see what he sees, but we don't get access to his thoughts. And so I'm about halfway through the first book, Wizard of the Wasteland, changing it to past tense and improving some of the language. I'm a much better writer now than I was when I wrote that first book. I think a lot of Wizard of the Wasteland is actually overwritten, and I think my understanding of structure within scenes is much better. So I've done some things to improve the pacing, and I've also given the reader access to my main character's thoughts. And so what I've been able to do with this is put in a subplot about my main character coming to terms with getting clean from addiction. So that is there in the background of the story, but now you can see how it plays on his thoughts, how it motivates him. And so my hope is it'll be a more satisfying story. It'll make people want to read the later books more. And from a technical marketing standpoint, it's really good when you relaunch a book because Amazon does a lot of work to help you promote it. So it'll put it in new release categories and things like that. So this has been a bit of a tedious process, but what I'm basically doing is going through a document for the entire series. So I've got all 3 books in one Microsoft Word file, and I'm doing the Control-H thing of find and replace and going through replacing every single verb that is in the past tense. Now, as you can imagine, this is actually taking quite a while to do because, yeah, it's great. You replace a word and it'll make 30 replacements throughout the whole series, but then some of those will be within dialogue, so then I've got to change it back. So I'm not going to make this a priority task, but I think this is one of those things where I will keep chipping away at it. My priority is the Ravenglass Chronicles, but I think doing this edit will just give the series a new boost. I've been reading a really good book this week, which is called The Perennial Seller. Now, this is a marketing book, and I would recommend it for other authors, for anyone doing creative enterprises or anything entrepreneurial, which is about creating things that will last for more than a decade. Now, this ties in perfectly with the shift that I've done. So long term, I will be writing solely fantasy stuff. That's my plan. And one good thing about fantasy, unlike some other genres like, I don't know, near-future science fiction or some of the contemporary genres, is that this stuff won't age. I can read an epic fantasy that was written 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and okay, some of the attitudes might be different than what you'll see today, but there's nothing specifically about the story that brings you out of it, say, because of the technology. So I've found this especially with some of the classics in sci-fi, Arthur C. Clarke's and Isaac Asimov's, people like that, where they imagine future technologies that now seem quite quaint. So Arthur C. Clarke with his electric newspapers, electric slide rules, Asimov's far future microfiches, everyone's still smoking. So my hope is that the fantasy stuff that I'm writing now, I'll still be able to sell and repackage in 30, 40, 50 years' time. So I've had no questions this week, but if you have a question, please do email me. It's john@johncronshaw.com. As soon as I've posted this will be my last task until I get back to writing in the second week of January. So I've got 2 weeks off now. So I will be pre-recording some episodes to upload to the feed. So this will be one of them looking back at 2018, about the highs and lows for me, and then another one looking forward. So have a happy Christmas and a wonderful New Year.